Good evening. My name is Mark Helfinstine. I'm an experienced SharePoint developer and project manager, and I'm also a veteran of the United States Navy. After I separated from the military, I pursued a Bachelor of Science in Information Technology and really became interested in the web development aspect of IT. I have been working in the IT field for a little over a decade and have been on a constant mission to fine-tune my skills and improve my capabilities as a web developer. My professional positions have been SharePoint designer, developer, admin, and SharePoint lead. And I have utilized HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create custom solutions for the various SharePoint environments that I've worked with. More recently, I have begun working as a project manager, which has helped me to gain insight on that side of the business process. I realized that I could improve my JavaScript skill set and wanted to learn both the front end and back end in order to be more versatile in web development and the SharePoint niche. Savvy Coders was a boot camp with a stellar reputation that also fit my personal schedule. It allowed me to learn a great deal in a short amount of time and to produce a single-page application that I'm really quite proud of. Savvy Coders is also vet tech friendly, and I was able to attend using my veteran benefits to pay for the tuition. My capstone project for this course, which is a single-page application, is focused on something that I'm very passionate about. After I transitioned out of the military, I lost the sense of community and team. It's hard to explain, but that has impacted me greatly. Many veterans also experience PTSD and other similar issues. As a result of the heavy burden they carry, many resort to suicide to make the problem stop. Today, there is an estimated average of 22 veterans that commit suicide on a daily basis in this country. Project Echelon, a nonprofit organization I'm affiliated with, is trying to do something about it. Project Echelon has created a growing community of like-minded veterans, which fosters a great team mentality. The mission is now to stand together and confront the issue of veteran suicide and to raise awareness. Physical fitness, specifically endurance sports like cycling, has been proven to help mitigate the effects of many issues. It helps to mitigate the effects that many veterans face. My capstone is meant to be a fundraising platform for Project Echelon as they continue to raise funds to support veterans and raise awareness to the issue of veteran suicide. Though this application is focused on a single event, the Everest Challenge, it could be adapted to support any variety of fundraising events in the future. The Everest Challenge is an unofficial challenge to climb the same elevation as Mount Everest using just a bicycle. Typically, this is performed over the course of a single activity, but for this challenge, it will give contestants a month to achieve this goal. Fundraising will be a part of the process, but it is not included in this project and will be added after graduation from the Full Stack Bootcamp. To begin the demonstration, let me pull up a wireframe of the application. Okay, so this is basically how I started the entire project. I had a good idea in my mind of how I wanted the site to look. In fact, when I found out that I had to make a single page application prior to joining the bootcamp, I already got some ideas going and started putting them together on paper. This is a culmination of that. And honestly, because of the thought that I'd already put into it, not a whole lot has changed as I went through the design and development process. Some of the navigation has changed. For instance, I have a sign up page in the navigation as well that is not present in this wireframe. I used agile methodologies to build this application from start to finish, and I utilized Jira to stay on task with sprints, user stories, and backlog issues. The focus was to get a minimally viable product in place before focusing on more fancy pieces like the styling. And this is what the project looks like. As you can see, all of the buttons for the navigation are all dynamic, and the mouse hovers over them. There's also a dynamic call to action button, sign up here. If you were to click this does take you to the sign up page as well. Also, if you go to the About page, there's a brief description of the mission of Project Echelon, and there's a brief description of the fundraiser itself and how it is supposed to get put together, the purpose of it. This slideshow is actually pulled directly from the projectechelon.org website, and that keeps this single page application consistent with the branding and story of the Project Echelon organization, and brings it all together. How it works. This is a description of the instructions for putting together, for signing up to participate in the Project Echelon Everest Challenge. The amount of elevation in feet that we're trying to attain is approximately 29,030 feet, and that is the height of Mount Everest. Also on the About page, I just wanted to share how this is a responsive site. If you see, once it gets to a certain screen width, everything slaps together and turns into a single column. If you go down a little bit further, the navigation will also change, which makes this entirely mobile friendly. There's a hamburger button. And if you click that, there's a new navigation that is also dynamic and in place. Everything is centered and easy to read. The sign up page is where I built my own API. All of the data for this table is residing on MongoDB, and the API takes information that is input on this form. And when the button is submitted, it posts that to MongoDB. And then this table also has a get function, which is pulling everything and putting it back onto the table. This is all live. And if I was to demonstrate, once you hit submit, that posts the information directly to the bottom line of the table, and also clears out the form if you wanted to add more folks to this challenge. The leaderboard. This table is actually an external API that is pulling information from a third-party website called Strava. And some of you may know Strava to be a social media fitness activity platform, much like Twitter or Instagram, but with the focus of physical activity. When a user saves an activity, they get all sorts of data that comes back: distance, elevation, heart rate, average speed, so on and so forth. And all of that comes back in my API. So I had to focus on various elements of that. Here I focused on first name, last name, the distance that was traveled, and also the elevation gained, and put that in the respective columns. And this is 100% real time. Somebody was to save an activity that belongs to the Project Echelon Club on Strava, which that's all in the how it works section, and they are signed up, then that activity would show up here while we're looking at the screen. Some challenges that I had with this is that Strava has everything in meters. So distance, I had to convert that using a formula to get meters to change to miles. And elevation gained, same thing. I had to change meters to feet. The miles and the feet all had thousands of decimal points. And so I had to bring that down so it was only the 100 decimal point that was being displayed here. Also, the first name, last name, I had to concatenate them together because they are two separate key value pairs, and that is how I got them to show up in that way. There is some further functionality that I would like to pursue on this particular table after the bootcamp is complete, and that is to get some code in the background to get all of this to organize in a descending order. So the greatest amount of elevation gained on the ride would be at the top, and then it would go down from there. And finally, the contact page. This is where you can find my contact information since I developed this application, and also Project Echelon. The projectechelon.org website is a link on there as well. Some challenges that I faced during this project was that Strava has a very interesting API setup in that it actually refreshes every 6 hours. So the access token that you were given initially only lasts for 6 hours, and then it needs to be refreshed at that point. This poses a problem because though I could go in every 6 hours and manually put the new token in, that's not really a very relevant use of anybody's time, to be honest. So I did not know how to tackle this problem. After some time working on it myself, I realized that it was beyond my scope of knowledge. And so I reached out to one of the instructors, and we sat together for a couple of hours and worked out the solution to get this to take the refresh token, which is provided by Strava, and ensure that every time the page is refreshed, it automatically puts that refresh token in and applies the new access token. And thereby it keeps the entire thing running with no pauses at every 6 hour interval and no manual updates. In order to keep this as secure as possible, the tokens are actually being housed in a .env file, and then they are referenced as a template literal on here. The .env file is not brought over to GitHub, and so it is not public. That is my Capstone project in a nutshell. There's so much more I have planned to implement, but ultimately, due to the time constraints, focus on functionality over minute style stuff is what the focus was on. So that is going to come in a later iteration. I'm not done working on this project. I have a lot more that I would like to accomplish on it. Just ran out of time. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And also, please look up projectechelon.org if you would like more information about the nonprofit and its mission to support veterans. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks.